Thank you for joining us for Effective Heart Change. The podcast will discuss how to apply faith principles to real-life situations. This is Effective Heart Change.
Well, my grandfather had a general store out in the plains of Kansas, and he had a safe. And it wasn't a big money place. It was Victor, Kansas. There are a couple of buildings there, and that's about it. But it was their livelihood. And I can remember Grandpa going to the safe every night and putting stuff in. And so when you're talking about safe, the picture that comes to mind is of a literal safe, a big, black, heavy, safe place to put things. And one of my observations was that sometimes money went in there, and that was a big deal. And it came out, and then it went back in. So it was in and out all the time. There were other things, I had no idea what they were. There were papers, and evidently it was important to Grandpa. But the difference between having something in it and using it, or having something in it just as storage, you start talking about what we're doing with our spiritual awareness. And it sounds like that to me. Sometimes we put stuff in there, and that's just in there for safekeeping.
There's two different topics that I talk about when I talk about spirituality. I coined terms because our culture, again, it's not about spirituality. It doesn't even have the language. So I talk about spiritual substance, and then I talk about spiritual presence. Now, spiritual substance is very much like the safe that you just talked about. If you think about it, there's this thing that we take, and we take this stuff that's very active and alive and very right now, and now I take that and I put it into a vault. That vault could easily be called character. That's a word that people understand. Over a period of time, the decisions that I make start to build up our character. That's like the safe. That's like the vault. I've got these decisions. I've got these patterns. I've got these normal. I have these core values, and I'm operating out of that. That's the solid stuff in the safe that we're going to operate from that. But I've also got this normal day-to-day thing of anxiety or peace. So I've got these patterns of interacting with customers, if you will, if you want to take it back to that. I've got these daily things that I do this and this and this and this, but at the end of the day, it goes into the safe or it doesn't go into the safe. So whatever's been laid up in that safe, it creates that filter that we talked about out of Matthew 6, to where that's how I see life, that's how I respond to life. So I've got this deeper character substance that is part of how I'm responding. And then I've got this spiritual presence, which is what's being laid down in me. And then I'm going to add one more concept. Are we confused enough yet? I'm going to add one more concept, and that's, I love the word yada out of the Old Testament. Yada is like to see into, to perceive. And so when I get into the idea of the New Testament, there are several times when it says Jesus perceived what was going on in their heart. So if I'm going to have spiritual presence where I'm perceiving, there's this spiritual thing. It's not necessarily an intellectual understanding again. There's spiritual contact. There's spiritual connection. There's a spiritual receiving, and then I have a choice to make. And that choice either puts it into a vault to where it becomes a part of my character, it becomes a part of my substance, or it rejects it.
Video production, editing, and audio by Matthew. Set design and setup by Ashley. Content recorded live at Studio 104.